It's the 10th PCA. It's the 25K high roller. There were 204 entries. There are now 8 players, but there can only be one winner. Hello again and welcome to the PokerStars.net Caribbean Adventure. It is the final day of a 10-day festival here at the Atlantis Resort on Paradise Island in the Bahamas. It is the final table of the $25,000 buy-in high roller tournament. And what a final table we have for you today. A great way to conclude what has been a terrific poker festival here in the Caribbean. I'm James Hartigan, joined once again by Joe Stapleton, whose voice betrays the fact that he may or may not have been at the party last night.
Let's just say I could probably win a horse tournament. Oh, I got one in early. Yes, was at the party last night. I love ending things with the high roller tournament because you're guaranteed to get an awesome final table. And not to say that other final tables haven't been awesome, but I just mean names you're going to recognize right there as our final 8 players. This is great to go out this way. Sometimes, you know, in a main event like yesterday, there were some notable players there. Some players, if you're like a hardcore poker fan, you would have known who some of those guys were. But here, I mean, these are some of the biggest names. 2 names in particular that stand out. Sean Deeb, always awesome to see him on TV. Granted, he hasn't done a ton in live tournaments, so hopefully we see the Sean Deeb that we know he's capable of being today. And also, of course, Vanessa Selbst. I think that she is one of the best poker players in the world, male or female, and commentating on her is a joy.
The 2 storylines are that Deeb is still looking for that elusive big live score. Vanessa Selbst, of course, if she finishes 5th or higher in this tournament, will overtake Kathy Liebert on the women's all-time money list.
And if she finishes 3rd or higher, I believe, she will crack the 5 million mark in lifetime tournament winnings.
Here is what they are playing for. Everyone has locked up nearly $130,000. The winner gets more than $1.4 million. When you saw the list of players there, I'm sure you recognized a few names like Vladimir Troinovsky because he made the final table of the Super High Roller tournament a week ago. Granted, we didn't see him for that long because I think it was hand number 3 that saw him run 10s into aces. But to make the final table of both those tournaments, just as Jonathan Duhamel did last year, is an amazing achievement.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, you know, to make 2 final tables in the same year is a really good year for most people, let alone 2 final tables in the same festival, let alone the 2 biggest buy-in tournaments that we had during this festival. 25K for this one, 100K for the last one. So, you know, if you're cashing in these events, you're doing pretty well. You're doing better than most people's entire years.
You can see the names of the players who bubbled the final table. Chris Klodnicki, our 9th place finisher late last night. If you're watching our live coverage of the main event last night, we appreciate your company, and I know many of you stuck with it till the bitter end because you were so hooked. Thank you for all your kind words. Thank you for your contributions. Once again, you can hit us up on Twitter by tagging your tweets PCALive. Alternatively, you can email nuts@pokerstars.tv. This final table was actually set about half an hour after we concluded the main event last night. And towards the end of play, when they were 9-handed, there was a key hand which saw Sean Deeb become the chip leader and saw Micah Raskin become a short stack at the final table. Deeb opened, Ola Shemian flatted, Micah Raskin then 3-bet, Deeb then 4-bet, Shemian gets out of the way, Raskin calls, they go to the flop, which is 9-7 deuce. Deeb continues, Raskin calls. Deeb then has less than a pot-sized bet behind, so when the 8 comes on the turn, Raskin talks him into it and says, "You've only got one move." And Deeb tanks a while, he shoves, and Raskin snap calls. Does he have Jack 10? No, he's got pocket 5s.
But it's hard to make a pair, James. It's a difficult hand. Pocket 5s is one of the best hands you can have. I'm not really sure what you're alluding to.
Check out the hand history on Poker News. And stay with us over the course of the day. We will tell you what the password is for the PCALive free roll. And you think it's the name of last year's champion, don't you? You're already trying to register using the word Billiker. Oh no, we have changed it, and we will reveal the password for that free roll a bit later on. That tournament not kicking off though until 7:15, so still 5 and a bit hours to go before that tournament commences. Hopefully set some really good poker to watch today.
If it's anything like me changing my password to any of my accounts, the password is now Billiker1. That's what I do when I'm forced to change a password. Okay, no problem. Let's just stick a 1 on there. I hope it's really complicated today.
It isn't.
Oh.
It's already been cracked.
Are you kidding me?
It's already all over forums and social media.
For a site that takes security extremely seriously, you think...
Okay, next time we do a free roll on one of these broadcasts, the password is going to be something like TZ13.
Yes.
XY.
Even if
19.
Even if it was Billiker, we could at least change the O to 0. Something.
By the way, a few people tweeting early doors, observing that it was obviously a good party last night, Joe. What can you tell us about the official PCA party last night?
Well, I think the true mark of any good party is not being able to recall all of it at will. I think it just comes to you in bits and pieces. I remember dancing with the female hostess of the Flemish and Spanish language shows, Gail Garcia Diaz, and sharing her company with about 14 to 15 other guys. That was like, it's always that, you always have that awkward moment too where there's like, 8 or 9 guys all dancing around the same girl at a poker party, and she goes to the bathroom, and all the guys are just left to sort of look at each other and not know what to do. Like, do we keep dancing? Do we just stop and wait for her to get back? That's always fun. A fella cut me in line. Cut me and Joe Cata in line, actually, and I tapped him on the shoulder to tell him that he had cut the line, and it turned out to be Owen Crow, who then distracted me with compliments over the live broadcast.
Owen Crow, the 5th place finisher in the main event. So the players posing for the official final table photograph. Bryn Kenny, who of course made the final table of the inaugural super high roller here at the PCA in 2011, standing next to Micah Raskin. Vanessa seated next to Bryn. We got Tobias Reinkemeyer. I think Tobias has made something like 12 high roller final tables, and of course won the 25K high roller at the 2010 EPT Grand Final. The other German player, Ola Shemian, has been on a tear recently. You might remember him bubbling the final table of EPT Barcelona this season. He then went on to win the Partouche Poker Tour main event for more than 1.4 million US.
Streaky game, that's how it works. These guys always go on a little hot run for a while.
And Mike Watson, Sir Watts, who finished 3rd in the 50K super high roller at Barcelona back in August.
Now, yesterday we were talking about that San Remo final table that will probably end up being some of the lost EPT Live footage that you can't watch at a later date. But Micah Raskin played at that table, and if the little anecdote James told about, the hand that sort of ended play last night, I would expect more, we'll say, unorthodox play from Micah today as well. He doesn't do exactly what you'd expect someone at a high roller final table to do.
Yes, he is the unorthodox player. So if you couldn't be with us yesterday, let's bring you some memories of this year's PCA main event. A fun, really entertaining final table.
Give those cards a good shuffle.
So an awesome final table yesterday that's going to make a great TV highlight show, which granted probably won't air from till about the spring or summer of this year, but it's worth looking out for. So Those are the official chip counts of the 8 players. One thing that's worth pointing out, however, is that the blinds are actually at 10:20. They've actually set the tournament clock back a little bit too far. There's about 8 minutes left at the 10:20 blind level, and then we'll be playing 12:24.
So they did roll the blinds back. Give these guys a little bit more play for their $25,000 buy-in. Now I'm really interested to see not which Vanessa Selbst shows up, but if the Vanessa Selbst we know and love shows up. You know, Vanessa is a super aggro player. She's one of my favorite players to watch. And it always seems, though, that she goes super deep in tournaments, and then there's just some huge misstep of aggression that ends up being her ultimate demise. And I'm hoping that, you know, for the sake of the story, that she can manage to avoid getting herself into that situation today. Sean Deeb, on the other hand, also super aggressive. So I guess it's not really on the other hand. On the same hand, also a super aggressive player who, you know, I haven't had the chance to do much commentary on him, so I'm pretty excited. And of course, you know, we're cards up today, guys, so we really get to get a deep look into what's going on in the minds of these kids here at this final table. And when James was first telling that story about Michael Raskin snap calling with the 2 5s, I thought he had ace-jack. I've seen him make similar moves with ace-jack. And that's just one of those situations, I think, James, where, you know, he snap called those 2 5s. And, you know, Micah's one of those, I think, older school or less experienced. I don't really know what kind of spin to put on it. One of those players who doesn't really put his opponent on a range of hands, but puts his opponent on a hand or 1 or 2 hands. And that just looks like Micah saying, he's got ace-king, he's got ace-king, he's got ace-king, I call, and no, he did not have ace-king.
So details of the T-Coup on your screen at the moment. Obviously, when we wrap things up here in the Caribbean, the T-Coup kicks off on the 17th of January. As far as Joe and I are concerned, we move on to EPT Deauville, which will kick off on the 2nd of February. We're going to be streaming every single day of the tournament from day 1A through to the final table. Stefan, very interested in the order of the next EPTs and how commentary will be divided between them. Well, Joe and I are going to be at the next 3 legs of the tour at Deauville, London, and Berlin. Hopefully, we're going to be live streaming every single day of all those tournaments. We're also going to be in Monaco as well. Some big plans for Monaco, which I can't talk about right now, but it's going to be really exciting stuff.
Wait, what do you know that I don't? You know everything before me. I hate this. This is ridiculous. You know what happens? They probably, when they check you into your suite, you have a dossier on the table of all this secret stuff that's coming up. And because I don't get a suite like James Hardigan, I don't know anything.
Let's head down to the floor.
Welcome to the final table of the PCA 10 High Roller event. 198 players put up $25,000 to play for a first place prize of $1,424,420. We're down to our final 8, so without further ado, let's meet our crew. In seat number 1, he is our chip leader going into this final table with $2,526,000, Sean D. In seat number 2, starting with $1,625,000, Vladimir Troyanovsky. In seat number 3, starting with $1,227,000, Oli Shemion. In seat number 4, starting with $1,620,000, Mike Watson. In seat number 5, starting with $484,000, Bryn Kenny.
luck, buddy. Good luck.
In seat number 6, starting with 389,000, Micah Raskin. In seat number 7, starting with 876,000, Tobias Rinkemeyer. Last but not least, in seat number 8, starting with 1,512,000, Vanessa Silst. We have 7 minutes, 45 seconds left at this level. Antes are 2,000 small blind, 8,000 big blind, 16,000. Players, good luck. Dealer, shuffle up and deal, please.
Well, as Vanessa is pointing out, the blinds should actually be 10-20. There's 8 minutes left at that level.
I don't think it was only 7 minutes left.
7.5 minutes left.
Really?
We played 10-20 for a while.
Okay.
Let's have a big round of applause for all 8 of these players to make it through.
So when cards go in the air, it will be 10-20 with a 3K ante. This is the seat order. Obviously, you've got the 2 hyper-aggressive players sat next to each other, Sean Deeb and Vanessa Selbst. All the big stacks bunched together, and all the shorties grouped together as well.
Yes, that should make for a pretty interesting table dynamic.
Make it 100K, 200K.
So they will adjust the tournament clock to reflect the fact that we are at a different blind level. First hand of the day. Remember, we're going to see every hand of this final table live or virtually live. The pictures you're seeing are 45 minutes old. We're commentating live. That's why you can get in touch with us on Twitter and email. We'll reveal hole cards when players enter a pot. Fold it around to Sir Watts on the button.
Mike certainly doesn't need a hand this good to raise his button.
Paul on Twitter says, watching the 25K high roller. Good luck today, Sir Watts. Take it down. Whereas Zalara says, Vanessa all the way. Best female, smartest player. Please don't blow up.
There you go, buddy. I thought we were going to see some unorthodox play already for Mr. Micah Raskin. Sir Watts is going to take down the first hand here.
Some more of your tweets. Samuel says, watching the live stream. Good luck, Vanessa Selbst. My pick for the win. We've also got Tonya railing Vanessa Selbst. So watch the PCALive from Canada. Go get 'em, girl. And Matthew says, looks bad with shorts at the final table. I think Deeb and Siva are such a lookalike. Can you guys enjoy the poker or just work?
There were so many thoughts in that tweet.
Players wearing shorts at the final table. Thoughts?
In the Bahamas, totally cool with it.
Deeb and Siva lookalike. Thoughts?
Not so much.
Do you enjoy the poker or is this just work for you?
I enjoy the poker, when it's, especially when it's a table like this, I really do. But I think that something that I'm really lucky about is that, like, when you're on the tour, you become friends with these people. At the very least, you know, you sort of become acquaintances with them, so you know them. They're people you know who are up there, and you know, hopefully we can translate some of that to you guys too and help you get to know them as well.
Second hand of the final table, the second time that Mike Watson's picked up a decent hand in late position, raising from the cutoff with jacks. Bryn Kenny has given up his button. Raskin folds the small blind. Action on Tobias Rinkemeyer.
This is really embarrassing, but I actually have that exact shirt that Mike Raskin is wearing. And I brought it with me. And I bought it here at Tommy Bahama.
Rinkemeyer defends with threes. Our first flop of the day.
Some nice implied odds with threes if you can catch your set.
He doesn't, but he does have the 3 of diamonds. Watson, however, has flopped top set.
Not sure how valuable that 3 of diamonds is to Tobias at this point. He checks. Do not see it. Mike Watson ever checking behind here. Meanwhile, after I say that every second he thinks about it, I sweat it.
Bet 60,000.
He continues for roughly half the pot, 60,000.
Next bet 60,000. Fold.
And Tobias Reinkemeyer quickly folds.
You know, it's really obvious to bet there because, you know, there's 3 diamonds on board or whatever, but I think a big mistake that a lot of people make is not betting their sets. A lot of amateurs, you know, check that set, try to play it slow. It just looks so weird, you know, when you don't continue. You can get action out of so many hands when you flop a set. You know, it's just you lose so much value most of the time by not betting your sets, and sometimes you let people get there.
Many of our regular viewers getting in touch on Twitter. Krishnan says, ready for another all-nighter. Let's hope for another epic as it was last night. My prediction, love to see Vanessa take it down. And Boyan points out that Olashemian, after winning the Partouche main event, then went on to win the Master Classics of Poker main event in Amsterdam, in which Bryn Kenny, also at this final table, finished 6th.
Wow. Kid is on a tear. He's the one that won't talk to us, right? He looks like a nice enough boy.
Raised to 47.
Andreas has just pointed out on the emails that Olashemian is the sickest player and had an incredible 2012 and actually won the tournament leaderboard for 2012 on PokerStars. He's been crushing live and online. It's Troinovsky who gets us started though here. I'm in plus raise with ace-2 suited. Folded to Vanessa's big blind. She's got queen-9 suited.
Let's see if she kicks things off here. Super aggro. Just to defend. Decent hand to defend with. Suited makes a big difference. Heart in the door.
Only the 1 heart though. It's top pair for Troinovsky.
Check. Check.
Vanessa checks. No reason for Troinovsky not to continue.
40,000.
40,000.
I think this is an easy check bet fold for a lot of players.
Vanessa Selps is not a lot of players.
No, she sure isn't. There we go. You can tell it pains her though. She does not like to fold. There we go. See, that's another great thing about having Vanessa at the table. We get fiance cam today.
Miranda and Vanessa officially became engaged at the start of the PCA.
We'll be shooting you guys some random math equations every once in a while.
Daryl asks on Twitter, can you and Stape say what you think of Isildur winning 5 million a week at full tilt? Well, I don't think he's going to be winning 5 million every week. This week
that would be awesome if you could just apply it to the rest of the year.
This week was obviously a good week. By the way, thanks once again for voting EPTLive, your favorite web-based poker show in the Bluffs Readers' Choice Awards, a prize we won by 9 votes. Bear in mind there were 10,000 ballots cast. So when do we get the trophy?
There is no trophy. There's no trophy. The only thing
Hang on a second, a plaque?
No plaque, no piece of paper, no certificate, not even a sticker, not even a gold star on the wall at the Bluff offices.
Wow.
We will forever live in infamy. Wow, Mike Watson is running super hot right now.
Another big hand for Sir Watts. Aces under the gun +2, raises to 45K.
In addition to thanking all who voted, by the way, for us in the Bluff Awards, I want to thank the whole crew here. It's an amazing production we have. Couldn't do it without you guys. And also, by the way, the crew that can't hear this at all. And also Mark Convey and Matt Broughton, who are also fantastic commentators and who are part of this team. Thanks, everybody.
It's one big PokerStars loving. Reinkemeyer on the button with 9-7 suited. Will call. Vanessa's small blind. She gives it up, and Sean Deeb in the big blind.
Squeeze, Sean Deeb. Nope.
He lets it go. So it's the second time that Watson and Reinkemeyer have gone to a flop, and the second time that Reinkemeyer is way behind. And he pairs his 9.
This is not a good flop for Tobias, even though he might think it is. Him pairing that 9 means he's going to pay off at least 1 bet here. Clubs out there. Mike's got the ace of clubs as well.
Bet 60.
He continues for 60,000. Last time it was an easy check fold for Tobias. This time he's A, in position, B, will at least call one street. And there is the call.
Call. Tray of diamonds.
3 of diamonds changes nothing, other than Mike Watson extending his lead. He's now a 9-1 favorite.
Puts a couple of unlikely draws out there. Diamonds now, wheel draw.
By the way, those of you asking about chip denominations, you will notice that these are different chips to those they were using in the main event yesterday. The smallest chips in play are the reds. They're worth 1,000 each. The blues are worth 5,000. The yellows are worth 25,000. I think these are actually the standard European Poker Tour chips that we're used to seeing on other legs of the tour.
Mike Watson going for 3 streets, as well he should.
That's 165,000.
So that's 165,000.
Now we're sort of starting to get in the kind of territory where this is like a big chunk of Tobias' stack to continue with this hand.
Yeah, he's one of the shortest stack players at this final table. He started the hand with 750,000. And already stuck more than 100 grand in over the last 2 betting streets.
He's got a pair. It's not a great pair. It's second pair. Not a very good kicker. Pretty tough for him to improve. He is not a believer. Oh boy.
So Tobias calls and now has less than a pot-sized bet behind. Watson can now legitimately shove the river, putting Reinkemeyer all in.
Mike's got to be pretty confident about his hand.
Backdoor diamonds just got there, but tough to put Reinkemeyer on diamonds. Got to figure that if Tobias had a queen, he'd play it exactly the same as he's played the 9.
I would agree. I think Mike's typically just going to bet here. I don't think he can really fold to a raise.
If he checks, Tobias will just check behind. I think he has to go for max value here.
Looks like he is.
That's enough to put Tobias all in.
1 million.
How are you feeling about second pair right now?
Well, I feel terrible about it, but I can see that Mike Watson has aces. I mean, for all intents, Tobias has just stationed Mike Watson this entire hand.
While this hand has been going on, the tournament clock has ticked over into the next level. The next hand will be 12-24 with a 3K ante. Question is, will we be playing 7-handed or 8-handed?
Tobias does not want to get bluffed. Don't worry, you're not being bluffed.
He couldn't hear you 50 minutes ago, and he still can't hear you.
We also know how hot Mike's been running, and it might be a little tough to believe him considering that, you know, he's been pretty aggressive. I think he raised 3 out of 4 hands so far.
Ace-10 was the first hand, Jacks the second, and now aces on the fourth hand of this final table.
So, you know, this is a hard story to sell.
And understandably, Tobias really thinking this through carefully. I mean, this is a decision for his tournament life.
You know, if Mike didn't flop anything, it's unlikely that he improved.
How often are players triple barrel bluffing? How often is a player like Mike Watson triple barrel bluffing?
And if Tobias can't answer it, I certainly can't. You know, and that's what makes a great poker player is, you know, balancing your range and not doing the same things all the time.
Tobias makes a good fold, but he lost a significant chunk of his stack there. He's down to 479,000.
Thanks.
And if you count the fact that the blinds went up in the middle of that hand, he really lost a lot, big blinds-wise.
Mike Watson now second on the leaderboard. He has more than 2 million. Deeb still the chip leader with nearly 2.5 million. As we play 12-24 with a 3K ante, the two short stacks, Michael Raskin and Bryn Kenny, actually we could say 3 short stacks. Tobias Reinkemeyer now with 20 bigs.
You know, and that 20 bigs is probably right on the line of a spot where Tobias probably thought, okay, I can fold and still have some kind of stack.
Hello to Ozzy, who just emails nuts@pokerstars.tv to say, I'm multi-streaming the PCA, snooker, Facebook, and writing an essay. Same as yesterday, the PCA is obviously the highest priority. Awesome show, guys. Keep it up.
I want to have his internet service provider.
Raise. 43,000.
And under the gun raise from Olashemian. Picks up queens.
Yeah, blinds are up, guys. 12-24.
Well, he raises, makes it 48,000.
There's an awful lot of face cards in this deck, James.
Michael Raskin moves all in from the hijack with ace-jack.
All in.
And he's going to get called in at least one spot.
One stack.
Snap call.
Call.
And Raskin will need to spike an ace, or he will be our 8th place finisher in this 25K high roller. Olashemian, 71% favorite to win this hand and eliminate Raskin.
I think ace, baby.
Raskin's kind of rascally, and I would say he's at least 2-1 to hit an ace here.
Ace, please, dealer. Right in the window. Looking for an ace.
I told you earlier about the hand which saw Raskin lose most of his stack towards the end of play yesterday.
You know, you're supposed to win poker with aggression, but being aggressive toward the dealer doesn't really do you much good.
Well, he's paired his jack. Immediate outs are aces and jacks. Shemian looks amused.
Turn card, please. Card is the 7 of clubs.
No additional outs on the turn.
The back doors are done, so 5 outs for Michael Raskin. An ace or a jack needed on the river for him to survive. He tries the standing up trick and it doesn't work. Michael Raskin walks away with nearly $130,000, $129,940 to be precise, and we are down to 7 after just 5 hands at this final table. And a good time to welcome in one of our regular contributors on EPT Live. He's a staff writer at the PokerStars blog. It's Rick Dacey.
Hello, James.
So Rick, last night, after we wrapped up with the main event, obviously you guys were still covering the high roller. It didn't finish too much later after that. And we referenced it earlier on already, but I think it's worth touching on again as he takes the walk of shame down the ramp. Michael Raskin did most of his stack in a big hand against Sean Deeb. A very strangely played hand, but those of us who know Michael Raskin wouldn't be that shocked.
No, perhaps not. I mean, Mike has got his way of playing. It generally involves playing with a lot of confidence and a lot of conviction. So, yes, he is occasionally going to make huge calls like that and be wrong, but equally so, he'll make huge calls like that and hero someone else's stack off for them. So, it goes both ways.
A quick reminder that if you look at the live updates via the PokerStars blog, you'll get an entire recap of that hand, and a recap indeed of all the action from yesterday's high roller. I have to be honest, I thought it was going to be a much longer day, Rick, because they started with quite a lot of players and got down to 8 in actually reasonable time.
Sure. A couple of my colleagues, Brad Willis and Stephen Bartley, were strangely pessimistic about it finishing at 4 a.m. But I looked at the chips the day before. The chips always do the talking, and it should have finished on level 21 or level 22, and it finished at the end of level 21. So, yeah, it did exactly what it should have done.
And we are now playing level 22 of this tournament. So Tobias Reinkemeyer, one of the two shorties at the table now that Raskin's gone, and makes an early position raise with ace-5 offsuit. Ola Shemian, by the way, is now up to 1.66 million. 6-5 suited in the big blind. Are we going to see the two Germans do battle? No, Shemian folds. And we've already made a lot of references to the fact that Shemian has just been crushing Rick, both live and online.
Yeah, he's had a fantastic 2012, and it looks like that's going to continue into this year. He's a young, aggressive talent, and if he's buying into events like this and being able to beat some of the best players in the world, then you expect that it's not just run good. He's obviously got talent.
Every jump matters.
If you haven't yet downloaded it, the PokerStars TV mobile app has been updated so that you can now watch the live streams.
Then look at it.
What? I don't even care about the drums. It's always like the same. So
yeah, come on, you're the only grinder here thinking about it. And you got chip lead over there.
I'm so scared.
And he shot you down too, and you said you were thinking about it.
Players discussing the money jumps.
50,000.
The next player out will earn $175,000. The winner will get more than 1.4 million.
Well, Deeb's already now got his largest live score ever, as long as you discount the satellite into the one drop, which was obviously a million satellite. But bar that, I think it was about 70,000 for the bounty shootout. So here, it's obviously a major score, and will Deeb finally get that big live result? It's currently looking good for it.
Brent Kenny is raised under the gun with 8-9 of diamonds, and the raise gets through. Earlier in the week, those of you who follow me on Twitter, @J_Hartigan, will know I was playing a game called Stapes Lookalikes, and getting people to send in photographs of famous people who look like Joe Stapleton. Clearly, people thought that anyone with a beard looked like Joe Stapleton. It wasn't particularly good. Miguel has just tweeted to say, James, don't get me wrong, but you remind me of Kevin Costner. You look a little bit like him when he was a bit younger. I'll take that.
Yeah, a slightly anemic version, but...
An anemic Kevin Costner. You can have that description for one of your next blog articles, right?
Thanks. I like the cheap shots.
Reinkemeyer under the gun with 8s.
The Germans seem to be terrifyingly good at these high rollers. If it's not Reinkemeyer or Shemian now, then it's Philip Grissom, Phil Bort. They absolutely smash these things.
How much you start this hand with?
This is for 475 beyond.
No way all the money doesn't go in here. By the way, this is the 7th high roller final table that Reinkemeyer has made. And he does have a win in the high roller at the grand final in season 6 of the EPT.
Way back when.
And of course he was the runner-up to Justin Bonomo in the super high roller at the grand final last season.
Wow.
That is amazing. How does Deeb not 3-bet there? And I say that because Deeb is so aggressive. That's why I asked the question.
Well, maybe he's hoping for a squeeze. Maybe I can't imagine that it's got to be a certain level of trapping. Either he's trapping Reinkemeyer or hoping that someone goes for the 3-bet squeeze and he can come back over the top.
Instead, we're going to go 4-way to the flop. The Sean Deeb of old never just flats there.
Can we have a 3-8 queen flop?
You're a sick man. Instead, it's a Jack 6-4 flop with 2 diamonds. Bring Kenny the only player with a diamond, and it's the lowly 3 of diamonds. How do you think Reinkemeier's feeling about that? Just one overcard to his 8s.
Yeah, I think... how's his stack looking in relation to the pot? Yeah, he may make a C-bet and then just give up on the hand if not, because it's obviously shows a lot of strength betting into a 4-way pot. But his hand figures to be good pretty much, you know, at least half of the time.
Well, he continues for 105,000 into 3 opponents. That's pretty brave.
Is Deep going to do something funky here?
Well, I expected him to be funky pre-flop, and he didn't.
I think it's very difficult for Deep to float in a 4-way pot with ace high here. How many cards come on the turn that he's happy with?
That's gold. Gives him a truck.
Yeah.
Tobias out of the immediate danger zone. By the way, we were referring earlier on that our Bluff Reader's Choice Award doesn't carry any kind of official marking. Kevmath, who of course is an employee of Bluff magazine, has just tweeted, "I'll be sure to find a gold star to stick in the Bluff offices in honor of your win."
Maybe a signed photo of Kevin Costner on the wall.
A question on Twitter from Roland. He says, were you guys disappointed by the lack of big names in the latter stages of the PCA main event? I guess it depends how you define big names. I mean, okay, there weren't many players who were household names, but there were some really strong players with impressive resumes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just looking at Joel Micker and Owen Crow, just to pick out 2, they were, you know, great online players. They've both sort of won about 3 million or so online, which is good in anyone's book. And how do poker players get to be big established names? They get it by running deep. So next time round, Joel Micker and Owen Crow will be recognised as those kind of second tier of big name players. You've got to have big results and big final tables.
From cutoff makes it 48,000.
Well, Shemian makes a late position raise with pocket 6s.
Small blind. Tobias in the big.
This is hand number 9 of the final table. And we've already lost 1 player, Micah Raskin, our 8th place finisher. Tobias defending with 7-5 off.
That's a man who's confident in his poker ability.
Out of position with a junky hand. Ace, king, queen with 2 diamonds. Reinkemeyer checks. Is it fair to say that's not the best flop in the world for a pair of 6s?
It's not great. Hopefully a C-bet just takes it down. Yep.
And it does. Hello to Ryan on Twitter. He says, great job with the live stream. It's a pleasure to listen to you guys. And how about those 49ers? NFC Championship, 2nd year in a row. Boom. Hello to Glenn. Says, following PCA Live from Belgium. I love PokerStars.tv. Victor says, loving the final table. Good commentators as well. Sweden follows the whole final. Keep up the good work. The whole of Sweden is watching?
They love the poker.
I'm sure you're the same, Rick. I've completely lost track of time and have no idea what the day or date is. So now I've realised it's a Monday. The fact that we have people watching, I suppose we should be reasonably happy about, because it is a work day.
Yeah.
Although in Europe, actually, it's evening, so the most people come back from work.
Having a cup of tea, maybe egg and chips, and watching some poker. How else can you start your week? Sounds a great plan.
Action's been folded around to Reinkemeyer in the small. And he gives Vanessa Salps a walk. She'll take it.
Yeah,
So Vanessa going for that record, Rick, a 5th place finish or higher, and she overtakes Kathy Liebert by just a few $1,000. And if she finishes 3rd or higher, she'll become the first female player to earn $5 million in live tournaments. We kind of knew she was going to get there sooner or later.
It was a matter of time, especially when you're playing 100,000 super high rollers and you're regularly playing 25Ks and regularly going very deep in events. Then it was purely a matter of time. And once she overtakes her, Kathy is not going to catch up. If you look at Kathy's winnings from last year, it was about $40,000 or so.
Another pocket pair for Ola Shemian, and another early position raise. And Reinkemeyer with ace-king. Well, I predicted the last time we saw 8 stakes, 2 overcards. I said there's no way all the money's not going in, and it didn't. So I'm just going to shut up here and watch them play.
Well, considering he's on the button, it's definitely getting 3-bet here. And it's suited, which is always nice.
So was Deeb's ace-queen.
You're right. Deep sneaky.
So Reinkemeyer 3-bets.
130.
Looks like 130,000 total.
And Shemian obviously has to jam or fold here, and
Oh,
you
Vanessa.
expect the jam.
Oh, Vanessa, don't do it. Are we going to see a cold 4-bet with King Jack from Vanessa in the small?
She wants to.
Well done, Vanessa. Good fold.
That is some restraint.
How much did you start the hand with?
King high's pretty much the nuts for Vanessa out the small blind there.
Deeb has folded. The action is back on Shemian. He's asked Reinkemeyer for a count. We know that Reinkemeyer started the hand with around 640,000.
And obviously, Shemian's got Reinkemeyer out-chipped about 2.5 to 1. So he's going to want to put the pressure on. And he's obviously got his fingers crossed that he's just applying button pressure here. But I think we can expect it to go into the middle. There we go.
Raise.
Enough to put Reinkemeyer all in, and he is all in.
Underbacks, please.
And we have a race in our hands with Reinkemeyer at risk. Shemian's 8's marginal favourite.
When you snap called
He's
there,
very good.
you're actually very happy to see the ace-king.
He's almost, I was.
Nah, he had.
Toby's been crushing it. I've been doing pretty well too, but you've been crushing it.
about anyone being
I have a
on
good
against
feeling
Toby.
about it though.
Yeah, but how could you not? How could you miss it?
I don't need clubs.
You don't need clubs.
It can't be so dead. You only had 2.
No.
I think there's a pressure out there.
Boom, straight
In
in,
6 round,
whatever.
he's just not making a club flush.
You're sure of it, huh?
Probably a good price.
Reinkemeyer looking for an ace, a king, clubs or straight cards. Good flop for the 8s. Jack 4-4.
You want to bet now?
And no clubs.
And the tiniest of rub-downs by Deeb there.
Reinkemeyer needs to hit an ace or a king on the river, or he is our 7th place finisher. The river is a 9. The 8s hold, and Tobias Reinkemeyer exits in 7th. Another great result for Tobias Reinkemeyer in a high roller event, nearly $175,000. And we go 6-handed with everyone now guaranteed 230K.
All right, see you later. Take care, man.
Big game to it.
All right.
It's a somewhat more civilized rail today.
I think most of the potential spectators may well still be in bed, nursing sore heads.
I think that's distinctly possible.
Well, Rick, thank you very much for joining us on the live stream. And if we don't get to speak to you later on, look forward to chatting to you again in Deauville.
Thank you very much. And obviously, check out the PokerStarsBlog.com for coverage of all the events.
Absolutely. Remember that the High Roller event is just one of 41 tournaments played at the 10th ever PCA.
Really,
For all those side result actions and background stories, you really need to check out the updates from the PokerStars blog team.
41 events.
Keep it up here now.
Do you want to try that again?
Wondering which event the party was last night because, wow. Now, to be fair, I was rather responsible this week considering past PCAs, but we started things off. We did a lot of outdoor links, and in one of them I was screaming my head off at James. Actually, in a couple of them. And that kicked things off a little poorly. And last night in the club, you know, when you're trying to talk to some girl in the club, I'm not going to win any with my dance moves. So I got to talk.
Let me just filter that for you. Shouting in the club. That's the key here.
Shouting, sure.
Wow, Shemian is a card rack right now. Has pocket jacks. Once again, raises from early position. Under the gun, makes it 48,000. Bryn Kenny has 8.
Mullen.
And he shoves. Vanessa's out. Deep folds. Troinovsky in the big blind. Mucks. Shemian's calling. Snap calls. Wow. Are we going to see back-to-back eliminations here? Kenny a 4-1 underdog and needing an 8 to survive.
81% chance we do see back-to-back eliminations.
Shemian is a one-man wrecking machine right now.
Just always have it.
Just playing the nuts.
He took out Raskin, he took out his fellow countryman Tobias Reinkemeyer, and now he's about to send Bryn Kenny to the rail.
And with skill like this, it's impossible to not see how he's had such a great year.
Oh, it's not looking good for Bryn Kenny.
It's tough to beat that.
Anybody fold a 4?
Here's the classic question. Did anyone fold an 8?
Less than 1% equity. So you're saying there's a chance.
Running force for a chop.
4-4, yeah. For the chop.
No, he's drawing dead on the turn. We say goodbye to Bryn Kenny, our 6th place finisher, $229,900, and already, after just 12 hands, we are down to 5. This feels like a bit of a replay, Joe, of the Super High Roller final table, a burst of early eliminations, but surely now we're going to see a little bit of consolidation, and surely the action has to slow down.
Yes, except if people keep getting dealt pocket pairs. I mean, that, of course, jacks versus 8s, it doesn't have to necessarily get in unless Bryn's a little short. What is in that bag? Anyway, you know, it doesn't have to happen like that, but if it's jacks versus queens or queens versus kings, yeah, it's still, you know, that is how it's going to go down, even if the stacks are pretty deep. So it all depends on what cruelty the poker gods have planned.
That's all right.
Hello to Carl in Finland, who emails to say there is no better way to start a week than with beer, food, and a poker live stream. Keep up the good work, guys. And then we have a tweet from Taylor who says, I just saw Selps fold a medium ace. Is everything okay?
I'd say it's okay. Right now, she's going to finish in at least 5th place, which I believe puts her pretty close to that $5 million. Excuse me, that puts her pretty close to the most winning female of all time.
Well, she's guaranteed now 5th place or better, so I believe that she has guaranteed that she will replace Kathy Liebert at the top of that list.
Do you think one of the corner seats are better than the middle seat?
I always want to have distance between.
Yeah.
The Dutch Wanderer on Twitter says, watching the PCA High Roller live stream after a horrible cold day in Spain and only 4 hours of sleep last night. Hashtag yawn. And for those of you asking on Twitter about our co-commentators for the day, we are hoping, no guarantees, to see the likes of Fatima de Melo, Lex Veldhouse, Chris Moneymaker once again. Possibly this evening we'll be joined by Eugene Kachelov and Barry Greenstein. Obviously a lot of it depends on how fast this final table goes.
We'll try to get them all in the last 5 minutes if it goes quickly.
Crucially, I don't want to over-promise and under-deliver.
Oh, Sean Deeb raises button. Chemian defended from the big blind.
Ace high still good. Goes check, check on the flop.
Deeb picks up a gut shot.
There's also the possibility that king high is still the best hand. But he decides to let it go. The new Sean Deeb.
New Sean Deeb, new Vanessa Selbst.
Not good enough to raise free.
And look at that, 3 people bust out in front of them.
Is it fair to say that we can put Sean and Vanessa in a similar category? They're players acutely aware of their reputation. They're acutely aware that they do have a tendency to have blow-ups, and maybe they're just trying to find it within themselves to grind it out and just try and get to the business end of this tournament.
I really hope so. You know, I do. It's 2 players that I think is really good for poker. When they win things, you know, it sort of reinforces what a skill game this is, because they are 2 of the most talented players in the game. I actually had lunch with Vanessa Selbst and her fiance over Christmas, and I was like, Vanessa, I love you, but like, just find one other gear to shift into sometimes, please. And the thing is, like, it works for her. It works really, really well until it doesn't.
He was just like sounded disappointed. He was like, I'm sorry.
Oh, you were there? Yeah, I completely believed him. I was like, wow.
Blind still 12-24 with a 3K ante.
He's funny like that.
Action on Deeb. And he raises to 50,000. Troyanovsky on the button.
Deeb looks like the cat who swallowed the canary. Yeah, king 9 off.
Mike Watson in the big blind. Will defend. And Watson is dominated.
Both players miss.
Deeb's 9 kicker ensures he's still in front.
He is in position. Check, check.
Meanwhile, Arla Chemians, who's had a very good first level at this table today, is chatting with his rail. Maybe sent them a text. Guys, I've just busted 3 players. And I'm
Get
now
down here.
And now the tournament chip leader. I need support. Chemian out in front at the moment, by the way, with 2.9 million. So there's been no betting action so far post-flop. And it gets checked down.
I mean, it makes sense that they would play it that way. They both have very similar hands. Sean Deeb figuring he can't really rep much.
Let's get some of your contributions to the show. Chris emails from Austria. He says, good morning, Caribbean beach ladies. We'll be sure to pass on your message to them.
Yeah, I'm going to go out there now and let him know what he said.
Thank you from Austria for sharing this event. It is a pleasure to watch. And for those of you wanting to play some poker later on, we're acutely aware that there was an incident which involved the leaking of this free roll password, despite our best attempts to protect it and even change it at the last minute. T-Coop is the password you need to play today's free roll. T-Coop, all lowercase, T-C-O-O-P, and you can register for that tournament right now in the PCA section of the PokerStars tournament lobby.
How long does the T-Coop run for?
I think it runs from the 17th until the 27th, so for 10 days.
I will be relocating to the UK just as it's ending, so I don't think I'll be able to participate in this T-Coop, but I am looking forward to playing online again.
You'll probably get online just in time for the scoop.
Which I won't be able to play, likely, since I'll be working it.